Welcome to the InStory live conversations. It is day 7. Yep, day 7 of the InStory show, and we are thrilled to have you all here for our live conversation videos. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go around and all the women on are going to share. We have 4 guests, and all of the guests are connected with the InStory world that I host, the Soul Story course, the InStory Way Year, and alumni as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call on each one of them, and each one of you will introduce yourself and say where you live, what you do, when you joined InStory, and maybe, yeah, just when and why. Maybe you'll start with when and why you joined InStory. So, Mandy, why don't you start us off?
Hello, I'm Mandy Engelker. I live in the Pacific Northwest, just south of Seattle, Washington. Um, I offer a sacred space container for others on their own individual, like inner journey. And I do that through traditional therapy, and I do that through intuitive energy healing. So kind of a variety of ways. Um, my relationship to InStory, I just completed the year-long program, so I am I don't even know, a couple weeks fresh out of it. My connection to it was in 2024, fall of 2024, when I was in this place of wanting to expand my voice, to be witnessed, to be seen, while witnessing others. So that was the connection of my own journey. So the container has definitely evolved in more ways than I can imagine, based off of that first kind of step into the unknown, which may be revealed or may continue as we continue to have the dialogue. But yeah.
Thank you very much. You started with the Soul Story course, didn't you?
Yes, that was so I did 2 rounds of the Soul Story course before I decided the year long. So yeah, it's been about a year and a half I've been
Yeah,
involved with you, Devorah. Yes.
beautiful. Okay, Cora.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Cora Fontana. I am in the Metro Detroit, Michigan area, and I work in more of a conventional profession as a project manager in specialized construction in the behavioral health sector. I started with, I was with Nina in the Soul Story course, and that was an awesome group that we had. So I was like, I want more of that. I don't want this to end. Because that was just by itself profound. I was just, it was a very moving and touching experience. And there's a lot of sharing and vulnerability that happened that I hadn't really experienced before, that level of sharing. Um, and then, at the end, kind of like our mini recital. So then at the end, really, then also presenting and sharing, and then on another level of exposure to a greater audience that wasn't in our little container, but that was also the first emancipation phase. So yeah, so I think it's been a few months or so since I graduated from the InStory year-long program. Um, and yeah, I love it. I mean, I miss everybody. I'm looking, everybody that was in the group and some of the people that came to the end that, it's been an amazing experience. And I'm happy that I'm still connected. I still feel connected with everyone, even though I'm not in the program per se. It's like, I'm a lifer.
That's what I love about these live conversations with the show is I can invite the lifer alumni to come back. And I think that it's true, like finding each other is such a big thing. That feeling a lot of times when women come into InStory, whether the Soul Story course or the year, it's this feeling like I've been holding it all up by myself. And this feeling that I don't have to hold it up all alone is really significant, that I have some inspiration in a cohort. So we're always here to keep that going. Okay, Nina.
Oh, thanks, Devorah. I'm Nina Ashraff. I live in New Zealand. And I was also in the 8-week Soul Story course. And I was trying to remember why and how I even found out about it. I think I must have heard you, Devorah, on a different summit.
Mhm.
I just liked your energy, and I liked the humor and also the sort of lightheartedness of the way you were, but also the sort of real deep work that you do, and how it was quite intuitive rather than specifically kind of set out. So I decided, yeah, I just honestly can't remember why, but I obviously did join the Soul Story course. And as Cora mentioned, she was in that group, and I just loved the people in the group. It was a pretty small group, I think. I can't remember how many were in it. Maybe 8, including Paula and Jana. I think you were in it, and Lynn and a few others. It was the main thing, similar to Cora, that I didn't really want to stop kind of connecting with these lovely women. And I was almost like, when I found out Cora was doing the InStory whole year long program, I thought, oh gosh, maybe it is okay to do a whole year. Because at the time I was thinking a year is a long time. I don't think I can come to every week. I was having to juggle my work and try and arrange things differently. And I've actually now kind of changed it so that I'm actually not usually working on that day at all. So anyway, it all worked out fine. And I kind of made it possible. Whereas I could have kept saying, oh no, I can't do that day. I've got other commitments, but actually moving forward, I just gently kind of moved those commitments so that I'm still doing my other commitments, but maybe on a different day and a different time. So, and the new group, there were obviously new people who'd been there a while. It took me a long time being who I am. I don't automatically just jump in and go, hi, everyone. Here I am. It's more kind of, I just like to observe and get to know people. And I find I am quite personal. So, sorry, private, I suppose is a better word for it. So to share, it's not automatic for me. I love listening to other people. And if they ask for my perspective, I'll give it. But this just somehow just naturally kind of unfolded. I felt more and more comfortable. Now I've been in it for over a year because I extended it a little bit because I just love it. Um, and the people who have been in the group that we're changing all the time. Some are leaving, some stay. Some are here for a longer period because they're in the kind of admin role of supporting Devorah as well and us, which is great. And new people are coming through, which I also love. And I just like to just learn a lot about myself as I have to speak up and as other people speak, and how that lands with me, and then why something might land a certain way. I mean, we're constantly learning about ourselves in this, as well as holding space for others and other people holding space for us, which is quite a special thing. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, and it's great because you can see Nina this season on the featured speaker page, and that was also not in your natural flow of things to be a featured speaker and make a free gift because you're a full-time eye doctor, but you have this other vision at the same time, and I think it's very significant that people have breathing room to be able to hold their whole life. Like you don't have to give up your kids or your eye doctor business in order to work on your soul calling at the same time. Like you can grow up into a new soul calling at the same time as having loved the first one. And that's what I just think about. Like it's not that you don't love what you do as an eye doctor. It's just that sense that I have more in other spheres and domains. And so it's a journey of honoring something that is not what the outer society is pressuring us to do, but something that is coming from another place. And it takes a certain amount of courage to do that. And then once we don't have to do it alone, it's a little bit easier to do. So really beautiful. So Renee is the newest person in like 1 month only in InStory, so she gets to be especially brave. But so now you can more freshly tell people what you do and why you joined InStory and where you live and everything.
Okay, so my name is Renee Riendeau. I live in Harrow, Ontario, Canada, not too far from Cora, actually. We're probably within an hour of each other. And I have been owning and operating a carpet and upholstery cleaning business called Foam Frenzy for 20 years. And I am ready to retire. But just a few years ago, my awareness increased, and I had taken a level 1 Reiki class, and I discovered my life purpose, and that is to help animals and their people in a holistic way. So I've kind of taken a deep dive since then into learning holistic practices. I learned about animal communication, energy healing, all sorts of different stuff that kind of blew my mind. I had no idea was even possible. So I'm always listening to online summits now, and I came across Devorah on one of those about a month ago or so, and she had a free gift, and so I took advantage of it, and I had a phone call with her, and what kind of attracted me to her was that in her free gift was if you're feeling stuck. And so that's kind of something I've been feeling for quite some time. So I was like, okay, what the heck? So I ended up speaking to her. And then the other thing that kind of struck me was that she said that I was able to start my new business in the holistic health for animals with the skills I already have. I don't need to wait any longer, and I can start something now, and I can do something that is individual to me in my own unique way, which is, part of her tagline, right? So I really thought that was kind of neat and unique, and so I decided to join, and lo and behold, I'm learning some intuitive skills, which is what I really need for this type of work anyway. So, like I said, I've only been a month in, and it's been interesting, and I've met some really great people so far.
It's definitely not boring. That's true.
No.
Right. And I think that there is this sense that we are being asked to trust these other ways of knowing. Like almost all of us got raised into a very rigid, formal kind of education in terms of how do you think about something? What's possible? How do you decide? What's legitimate? What's a legitimate way of knowing something? And so, but I think that in order to join something like InStory, or even to watch this summit, it's because you know that this idea of expanding into a new story has to do with this other kind of knowing. That's not just from what you read from a book or what someone told you or what you got from your brain, right? There's this other way of knowing. And so I'd like to talk about what's been hard, like what is that stuck thing and like that hard thing and what's helping you move through it. And, I said, one of the things I said when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about is what I call like finding and trusting your vision, your voice, and your value, because we're not supported to do that. It's more like who the heck do you think you are to do this? Cora, you could talk about when she did this unbelievable presentation on tarot. Back when you were in California in your other job and house and reality, and then you used everything you learned to move into a whole nother thing. Like it's also, I think it's also the tools of how do you get back up? when you get stuck or when you get knocked down. So you can kind of dive into this topic from whichever point of view you want, but it's kind of the idea of either what's hard and how did you get to the other side of it? How does InStory help with that? And in what way do you feel like you now more trust your vision, your voice, and your value? So kind of a little bit of your InStory story, as I like to say. All right, Cora, since I already talked about you, why don't you start?
Yeah, it's been a journey. I think as people had mentioned, I had been going on webinars and doing all kinds of spiritual practices from all different modalities for, I don't know, a decade or something, which was great. And then also with COVID, things were, the virtual world expanded so much. And now, as we see with YouTube, there's so many different people that I follow on YouTube. But I think, Nina was very articulate about explaining like the difference in the energy of um, of this space and sort of what from your leadership and energy, how what's created. So for me, it was really hard to create this world. Like I had this all my life, I've had a very rich inner world, but there hasn't been in the real life, many people or anyone that I connected to about these things. So this is just, something I lived, like I said, it was very rich and deep and profound, but I didn't really have anyone that I could truly share it with and talk about it with. So having that container was the first time that I allowed myself to be seen and express these things. And, I was new with it too, because it's like, well, I had never, it's like learning to ride a bike or just maybe with a child walking. It's like, okay, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do it, you know, um, and even though in certain ways I more readily maybe share some things, other things it's way more vulnerable and scary, or maybe I don't even know myself what it is or how to express it or share it. So it was feeling safe enough. And I think like having my nervous system calm down and having my cells in my body have the experience to be with a group of women to be exposed to that degree, which is, feels like just surge of like fear, don't do that, run, that's you're gonna die, or something. You know what I mean? There's that part of the brain. So that I think just needed to settle. And
Mhm.
and then it became just more of a calmer, regular thing. And, like Nina had also mentioned, it takes time. Like it's not just an instant thing, right? It takes time to know people. And it took time for me to even know myself. And I haven't had the greatest experience with, I have a best friend. Um, but a lot of women relationships, including in my own family, have been a little treacherous. Like so there is that kind of like, okay, I can't trust women, like they're gonna get you at some point. They're gonna come in somewhere you're gonna get it. Somewhere you're gonna get stung or they're gonna get upset with you and attack you or something. You know what I mean? I've just seen that a lot in my life that I'm like going about and visit people get jealous or they do weird stuff. And so there's a part of me that also is like, I don't trust people and then women. So, and then especially with these very precious, soulful things, So just that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff to process and work through. And that's probably why it's good. It's a whole year, between, but it energetically, like even in the soul story, it happened because it just felt so right. So it happened fairly quickly, I suppose. I mean, relatively that there was really an ease. And I think I love Paul always says, addresses us many times, I think is like soul sisters, and like I'm getting goosebumps right now as I said that, so there's that, I don't know, there's something about it that just immediately made me feel safe and comfortable. And that is like half or 75% of the battle for me Because then once I get it, it's like I'm in a flow state and then I'm not being defensive or holding or putting the walls up. Then it's just really, and as you do these intuitive guidance, I had never done that because that's kind of also like a personal, intimate thing.
Right.
And so to do that kind of intuitive guide with a live group, not like watching a webinar that's, I watch a lot of recordings or they're global and there's like hundreds of people or 70 people and people are putting things in the chat and that's cool. But it's not the same of like there's a level of like accountability that's like, oh, like I need to show up. So a part of me that was hard to like okay, this is too hard. I want something more intimate. But then when it's more intimate, it's like, oh shoot, now I'm visible. Now so there's a little bit of that like catch 22 in that, yeah, I want it, but then I think a part of me was very scared. And so that was just the most of it. So then once I was able to do that, and then I decided, the tarot kind of became something as a tool I think of just these skills and intuition that I had, and I felt drawn to it. And then I started like a business and a website towards it. And the group I was doing, practice readings with everyone. And, that was the huge, what got easier was doing that and coming out in the show and on a website and saying, like, I'm going to do this being from very conservative corporate and then just my family's not like that or anyone. I mean, it was terrifying, terrifying. And I put the website in my name. So I didn't use a pseudonym, like, and I'm on LinkedIn and all, I have 500, corporate connections. And I thought, if I'm going to try to get a job and somebody searches this stuff, I probably won't get the job, like, so there was some true risk involved with crossing these over. And I just said, this is who I am. And at some point, I'm not going to hide who I am anymore. So, like, that's emancipation. And so, after that, even if I'm not really readily practicing in that, and that's not something that I'm doing um, because of all the course of events that happen and the relocation and so forth, that, I'm doing something, but I'm very open. Who knows? I mean, now that I am intuitive and am in flow, I'm reading the signs, I'm feeling what comes up, and I feel like there's divine timing. So who knows what's next?
Right.
But the biggest breakthrough is that I am not hiding in any like at all. So I went to a family reunion, which is a huge test, just this past weekend. And there's that saying, I think Ram Dass says it, that if you think you're enlightened, go spend a weekend with your parents or something to that effect. So it's like everything's all good, and then you go with your family or your parents, and then you see how far you've evolved or not. And what's great is I just didn't have any sense of shame. I didn't have anything. I didn't dim myself. I don't need to lead with it. I don't need to, um, make sure that people identify. Like, I don't have to force it. But that was just like, I feel so comfortable in my skin outwardly now that there isn't this difference between my inner world and my outer world.
Yeah.
And that is huge. So now everything is easier
Yeah.
because I trust myself. I love myself. I support myself. I don't have a dual life. It's great.
Yeah. That I'm so happy you said that because there's so many different outcomes from InStory, but they all make you feel like you can be yourself.
Yes.
So really, really beautiful, Cora. Thank you. Wow.
Thanks.
Okay, Mandy, have you thought about a perspective you want to share?
Yes, trying to like synthesize it.
I know. Otherwise we could be here for 3 hours. I know.
Right. I think like when I like in reflection of your title for today, like vision, voice, value, and like when I feel into it. Also echoing what Cora just shared of like it's been such an inner journey as much as as an external journey. And so woven in is my own personal, but then like, okay, I want to do this business thing. How do I also, kind of integrate that into all of it? So I think when I think or feel into value, It was really about something within around a yes, that there was something that there was just so much more out there than what was in my current day reality. And so it was really like this seizing the opportunity and going towards it into the unknown. I am very much a practical, like, where's the plan? What's the plan? How do we do this? And so it was really this place of just trusting. So I think in the theme of all of it, trust was what was hard. Trust in myself, and then trust into source, something bigger out there. So I think throughout the whole piece was really about going towards that and cultivating that. With a voice, it was just allowing myself to take up space that I had, for so most of all of my life, found a little corner pocket in the world, in people's lives, and like, okay, I'm watching, I'm figuring out, how do I fit into your world? How do I make sure that I'm not disrupting anything? I'm the harmonious one, but how depleting that can be. And so that was also another thread of joining both Soul Story and the InStory, of just getting comfortable with the discomfort of taking up space and really allowing myself to take up that space and to start believe that I deserve that. So that was another piece. And I think the container of the weekly connection points and the accountability, it was a way for me to stay integrated in a realm that I wanted to be integrated in. And I think back to something that Renee had said that landed with me, is like, it's been such a space for me to really tap into my intuition and those intuitive gifts, and also to be able to say it and like name it, and like, this is what came. And so it was this practice ground to be able to cultivate that more, which I think then continued to feed into like the vision piece of, there's something, how can I alchemize my own journey, inner journey medicine, to then give back to others in a way, whether that is still within traditional therapy, but also in such a more expansive way. And so I feel like that is still cultivating, and that is still like coming to me, but it just, with the summits, I was able to kind of take all that I do and build a website and really try to start articulating what it is that I do, and put some structure to it. So that helped as well. And then just a place to be fully expressed, to just be authentic and be able to do that piece. So yeah, I feel like kind of the combination of all of those things, but it really has been a culmination of trusting myself, but also staying integrated and doing the other side of the work of trusting that there's so much more holding me and supporting me and guiding me as well. So yeah.
Beautiful, Mandy. And it's so much what you started with, like both believing in yourself and believing in source, like that sense of developing that trust, and somehow the deep work and the support of the other women, it builds that, right?
Yeah.
Now, don't you feel like you have a much stronger vessel for going out and building your own work?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, right. And that's part of the goal, is that InStory, it builds your inner ability to go out and do whatever the thing is that you want to do, as opposed to just thinking about doing it over and over and over again. Right? Really good. Okay, Nina, what do you think was hard and is now not hard? Do you know what I mean? Like that, something in that department.
Yes, I'm just thinking again. I can kind of relate to quite a bit of what Cora and Mandy have both said. I think after the 8-week course, I sort of, because I got to know the people in the group a little bit better, but still, I didn't feel that my voice was something that I really wanted to share fully, because it is quite a vulnerable place, and I usually would be happy to go into a guided process, for example, that we do. And writing, the in writing, I love, because I can do that without speaking. I mean, even with the guided process, I can write it all down, or I do a drawing, and then we share it. And that was hard for me initially, because I thought, oh, I don't know if I want to share. And should we be sharing this? And, it's just different aspects of what is okay. Not just because of who is there, but more of just if I've got that download, or if I've got that intuitive image or something, then is it better not to share it? So yeah, I was always kind of not sure about that, but I slowly kind of started to realize actually it's good to share, because it's helping me integrate it somehow. And I guess, there's no compulsion. You're very good at, if you want to share something, if you don't, you can just read what you wrote. So there's no kind of force, which I liked. So even though it was difficult, I didn't feel pressured. And everybody's just accepts everybody for who they are, which is nice. And I think, as Cora was also sort of alluding to about being in another world, um, I mean, even now, just for this show, sending out invites, I literally was quite happy that I'd kind of forgotten about it and I hadn't invited anybody. And then I thought, oh, actually, after I did the interview, I thought, oh, I don't actually know what I said. Was it okay? And I think, as Jennifer Kelly mentioned on her interview, it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to hear this and see this. And what did I actually talk about? And I don't really mind that too much, but it was a little bit of a concern. I was sort of thinking, oh, I've invited a few people, and well, whatever happens, people can receive it or not. And I've probably got to a stage in life where I don't really care that much what other people think, but if it's more about how can it be of use to someone else. And if it isn't, that's also okay. But part of that is actually my own process. So, I mean, the women in this group have done some amazing things. I see the websites, I see all this, and I just think, wow, that's so amazing. Um, and I have to remind myself sometimes that it doesn't, when we're all following our own unique way, and how we incorporate it into our lives is very unique. So it may be that you have a business around it, and that's great, and it may happen later in life as well. But or if you're working and doing something else, you might want to incorporate it into your daily life, or it might just be a personal thing. There's so many different avenues, but there's no kind of end goal for me. I actually came into the whole year-long program with actually no real expectation. I didn't really know what it was about, really. I just kind of follow my intuition, and I just kind of think if it feels right, and I sometimes will just make a decision. Um, so it did work out really well, and I've been able to kind of express my voice, not in a normal working daily life way, which I don't have a problem doing. I'm very comfortable expressing my voice in something I've been trained in for many decades. But when it came to this, I thought, well, we don't really need to be trained into it. Well, you can practice it, but I mean, it is literally innate. We've all got things within us, and we've all got whatever you get whatever you journal, or whatever you receive in a guided process is correct for you at that time. There is no kind of, well, that one's right and that one's wrong, which is great. I mean, it's just accepting what you get and accepting yourself, because we're accepting each other.
Yeah.
But actually, slowly, I'm kind of realizing, well, yeah, this is who I am, and comfortable sharing it with people who I trust, and maybe developing things into leading other things at, say, for example, in the workplace, where I wouldn't normally go past that certain topic. I would just kind of go into breathing, for example, which is kind of medically related, of course, but it's just slowly taking those steps and moving forward. which is been really helpful for me, because otherwise I can do a course or a seminar for a couple of weeks, and then life gets busy, go back to your own life, and then you think, oh, I haven't really connected with myself. I don't feel good. It doesn't feel right. There's something I'm not listening to.
Yeah.
But doing this every week, even if I wasn't always live, I could listen to the recording, but mainly being there was the best part of it, because you're just giving yourself that time, and that helps expand yourself and be more comfortable in your own skin, and be more comfortable sharing. So that vision, I would say my vision was just being me.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a final vision. I still don't really, because I'm kind of open to trusting what happens, and the path will change, I'm sure. The voice part was very hard for me, not just to hear my voice, but just to actually think, why would anyone want to listen to what I've got to say about what I got in my guided process? I mean, but then I love listening to other people's. So yeah, it's holding space, and having other people hearing you. So everyone wants to be seen and heard. So and then the value of, yes, giving yourself that time on a regular basis, not putting it off for everything else that can absolutely take over. So I think you become a different person as you go through things like this. And with as everyone's mentioned, the container that you provide for us is just, that's the main thing that I just absolutely am so grateful for. Whether you think you need it or not, it doesn't matter. It's kind of a really lovely energy. It's genuine, and you're learning about yourself the whole time. And you might be expanding into putting out something new in your life, or changing your purpose, or building a business, whatever it is. There's benefits, I feel, for me, that are just ongoing, actually. Yeah. And today, I just have to say, just coming onto this live interview, I didn't know who else was going to be there, but I mean, just seeing Mandy and Cora, oh my gosh, I just lit up inside. Because yeah, you just really build that connection, even if we don't even know. I think it's more of a, for me, it's an energetic connection. You don't always have to say anything, but you kind of know. Um, and then seeing people who have been around and been really supportive, like Paula and Jana, that's so always lovely just to see. Just you always feel, yeah, you always kind of feel like there's people who genuinely, I don't know, appreciate something about your presence. I know I do about theirs. And then Lynn, who always comes, or seems to always come to these live shows, which I love. I just love that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just very grateful. And I do think all of those vision, voice, and value have all kind of expanded for me, and I feel much more comfortable within myself.
It's clearly because like all these things about your voice and everything, and now Nina gives some of the most unbelievable insights to other people in the group, and and what comes to you, Nina, is powerful and expansive. And you said to me, if I don't put this in my life, I won't have anything like this in my life. Because when you work full time and you put this in your life, you are safeguarding something so sacred to you, and saying it is worth it to me to have this quality of deep, intuitive, soul nourishing experience, as valuable as all the other things that call for my attention. And it does, yesterday we talked about courage. Like, it takes some courage to take a stand against the society that will tell you does not have value. You are not worth it. People say, I don't know if I should do this. I'm like, you for sure shouldn't do it. Like, according to the should of the outside world, you shouldn't. So if you're going to, you're going to have to find that inner place in you that says, I'm over that. I am over listening to everybody else's should, and now it's got to be coming from my deeper soul calling. And everybody gets that different times. They used to be like, it's all for women over 50, and like now women in their 30s going, hello, like, we want to do this. I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. But that's exciting. I mean, those of us who are older are like, okay, that's all right. It's not too late and it's not too early. It has to do with saying yes to your soul and and then when you do that, you're not alone. You're just not holding it all up all by yourself. And you don't also feel that feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be sucked up into what I don't want and I will never get out of it. Right? So Nina, you have progressed like you didn't even think about bringing breath work into your medical world before. So that is what we're hoping is each of us turns around and this growth we experience, we offer it to the next person. So Renee, share a little bit more about how that's looking for you and what you're working on.
Okay, so Devorah had an odd suggestion for me. I thought was odd. So I have my carpet cleaning business I've been doing for 20 years, and I'm physically and emotionally would like to be done with it, but I have to keep moving forward to make money to support and figure out my holistic pet business that I want to do. So what she had suggested was to bring energy work into my daily work. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So, like we do in our guided processes, to bring in the divine light into our bodies, feel that, let it go all the way down to the core of the earth, come back up, and then feel this grounded, healing energy and emit that and push that out through our hearts. So that's what I try to do, before I go to someone's house now. And then I also play some Spotify music, like real low that they can't hear it, to help like nervous system regulation or something like that, at a certain frequency. So it's helped me, get through my day that maybe I don't feel like doing it that day. And it's, given me kind of like a new lease on this, my work. So it's kind of interesting. And then I've actually talked about it to a couple of different people, here and there that are open to it. So it was something, that hasn't been like as good as I wanted to be, but it's made it a little more joyful in my everyday. So it's kind of interesting. And also too, just with the like the live calls that we do every week, I normally like I don't say I'm an intuitive person as of yet. So I'm in this group with all these people that are super intuitive, what I can see, and I feel like the oddball out, but they're, commenting on what I say and asking me questions to make me go deeper, which I wouldn't do on my own. So it's really kind of cool to have a group like this. It's an odd type of thing. I never thought I would ever do anything like this, but it sounds like talking to everybody that this will improve as I keep doing it, and I look forward to that. So
Yeah. And that is one of the cool things about InStory is everybody doesn't all start exactly at the same time. And so you come in and on one hand, you're like, when you're new, you're like, oh crap. Right? Because, oh, look at all these advanced women who are so, and I joke because in the Soul Story course, everybody starts at the same time. And everybody thinks if they watched like the recital from one of the Soul Story courses before, I've literally had women say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't join your Soul Story course because I'm not as good a storyteller as those women. I'm like, guess what they said when they started? Like, we're just trained to feel like we're not good at telling our story. I'm all the time I'm saying, have you ever been moved by someone's story? And everybody says yes. And then if I say, will people be moved by your story? Almost everybody goes quiet. Mostly nobody says no, because that seems really bad, like to say that about yourself. But they don't say yes either, unless they've already really worked hard on it. It's just an odd thing. And so little by little, what happens is, just like you said, Renee, and Nina said, like little by little, that myth starts to become not true anymore. Like that idea that what you have to say doesn't have value, or that it's not good enough, or won't work, all of that, you start to try stuff. So Renee, you're such a good example of starting out, like already trying out something, in your world. But that's part of what happens is you have some support to do such a thing, right? Because if you just think of it if you just watch some video on it, you're not going to do it. And one of the other things for me that's so important about what we do in the Soul Story course and in the year program is that you are seen. I always joke, like, you can't run and hide. Like, if you don't show up, we check on you. And a lot of the programs out there, like Cora said, you could be on with lots of people alive, but they don't see you. And if they don't know my name. Like in our program, we know your name. And like I said, if you don't show up and you don't tell me, I go, are you okay? Like, we see you. And I think so much of what we go through now is we don't feel seen. We go and we watch all this stuff. I'm sure everybody watching this has gone and watched a million things. But and it's the same for me, I want to be somewhere where someone knows my name. And if I'm going through something hard, they care. So we care. So we're going to wrap up, but I'm going to let everybody say one little thing. We don't go for hours and hours, but I love to have everybody share one last thought before we wrap up. So we'll go back around. So Cora, why don't you start us off?
I don't know. I always tell people, and I remind myself, like you said, we're so good about treating others well and being attentive, but not always to ourselves. So I just always tell people just to remember to be kind to themselves first and foremost, and gentle. It's like those things that can be simple but not easy always, but it can be just profound. I mean, and that could translate to anything. Being kind could be, like you said, I do have something to say that's valuable. Just believing ourselves, being kind enough to ourselves the way we're kind to others, kind to strangers, kind to the people we love. But let's have that relationship with ourselves as much as possible. And then even be kind if you can't be kind to yourself.
Remembering to be good to ourselves and kind to ourselves. So
Yeah.
really, absolutely. It's so true, Cora. Okay, Mandy.
I think in the theme of trust is just kind of trusting your own process, trusting yourself to intuitively follow that journey. Kind of each step along the way, there's lessons and fruit in all of it. I think in regards to InStory specifically, and like these communities and containers, which also feel like speaks to me in resourcing myself. And so this may speak to you or not, but I guess coming back to it's been pivotal to have different containers for this type of space. And we're, I think, fundamentally meant to be in community as well, but to have a sacred community. So just another component of a resourcing yourself to continue to go along in your own journey.
Yeah. And not feel like you have to white knuckle it all by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Nina.
What comes to me is how unique we all are, and that's a beauty. I feel like variety and how different we all are is so important in the world. And so relating to ourselves at first, and accepting ourselves and loving ourselves and trusting ourselves, and being open to the differences of others. There's no kind of competition. There's no I should be here or why can't I be, that just doesn't matter. It's just being so comfortable within yourself that you're living the best life that you are meant to be living. And it's coming from within. It's not an external thing, because there's way too much external stuff, as we know. Yeah, just trusting trusting who you are at this point in time. It's perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. And that sense that we don't have to do it alone. Yeah, really beautiful. Renee.
Okay. So, I'm looking forward to the journey with this group, or my journey with this group, and learning to trust my intuition and being where you guys are at one day. So I'm gonna have to watch this in about a year's time to see what the difference is, and I'm really looking forward to that and sharing it with all you guys.
Thank you. It's fun. It's fun for me to have you be able to watch people at different stages of this journey. And so I hope that you'll all find, all of you who are watching, will find a way to say yes to your soul and to take a step. Join us in this journey. Join one of my other speakers in their journey. But just don't sit alone at home in the spin cycle, torturing yourself. Just don't do that. Okay. You are invited in with us. There's going to be another soul story course coming up. You can find out all about it from me. And, you can schedule a soul story session with me, talk to me, and see what is right for you. So I'm going to say farewell. I'm going to stop the live stream. Then we'll chat for a few minutes after that. But everybody who is watching, take this to heart. And remember, as I always say, to go out in the world and share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing.